We did the silent count and everything. Cool. You ready for TV? All right, thanks for coming. This is a basic bubble class. It's going to show you the basic game mechanics regarding to interdictors, heavy interdictors, and bubble mechanics. This will be about 45 minutes roughly. This is mainly hold all questions to the end again. We'll do intermittent questions between each one. I'm going to cover the bubble mechanics for the interdictor first. If someone could be Vanna White and Fleet, please, I wouldn't mind. I just need you to link the interdiction sphere launcher for the interdictor. Interdictors destroy class hull that basically this is the most popular. It's the most versatile of the two bubblers in that it can actually get itself out when it needs to be. The Hictors are extremely useful for things like tackling supers and stuff, but these things have a lot more survivability. They're also fragile as shit, so you need to learn how to fly them smart. Basically, I'm going to go ahead and drop a bubble here and show you exactly what's going on. There are two major differences between a Hic bubble and a Dick bubble. One of them is that this is actually something you can show on your overview. It's actually a probe that is actually launched from your ship. It's a static item. It can be smart bombed away, and it's a static item that does not move versus the Hic where it'll move with your ship. It'll basically anchor off your ship. It's 20 kilometers in radius, and anything that basically goes in here is essentially bubbled, and that will not be able to warp away. You're going to notice this thing pulse. That is not a graphics glitch. That's not just for show. This thing does actually pulse in and out, so it'll be anywhere from 18 to 22 depending on the luck of the draw of where you're at. So you got to be using that. That's going to be part of your timing in terms of getting your ship out and things like that. Watching for things such as you getting out of the bubble. It stays up for 2 minutes exactly unless it either dies or the timer runs out. Basically, that's pretty much it. I'm going to go over exactly how this thing works in a second. One thing to note, main thing with the interdictor is that I'm all under pressure here because fucking sort of line is recording me. I'm so nervous.
Anyways, what are you trying to say?
Anyways, there is a skill that lets you cycle these things faster. Double bubble dictors is extremely popular and extremely useful and gets you lots of kills and makes you a hero because you're able to drop. If you happen to mess up your first bubble or another fleet adjust or something like that, or you warp off and come back, all this can happen in less than a minute. Interdictors level 4, you're looking at about 70 seconds for each launcher, about exactly a minute for Dictors 5. It's extremely useful to train Dictors 5, but 4s with double bubble will get you by most of the time. Important note, just about every Dictor should have a cloak. The basic prototype one, the main thing is you have it for is just so you can surprise butt sex, surprise pulling fleets, forward scouts reporting, oh, it's clear, and then addicted cloaks, and guess what, their entire forward fleet lands 20k off, and you just bridged in your entire fleet, and they're off the gate. This happened. Prograd is very, very good at this. Guderian is very good at doing this. It's what gets you a lot of kills that way. So knowing how to time this, if you're an addictor, you can expect to be, Prograd's probably going to poke you and ask you to do this ninja shit, so we'll go over that stuff shortly as well. Alright, so basically, if everybody could please warp to, well, the sun is a good example, but could someone please take that anchor bubble down for a moment? Go ahead and warp yourself to planet 1. Go ahead and warp to planet 1, it's off to the left of the sun. Warp to planet 1, everybody warp to planet 1, everybody warp to planet 1.
For the record, that bubble is pre-existing. I'll see if I can de-anchor it, but don't promise anything.
Cool. We're going to go over the actual catching of someone from somewhere else in space. We're going to cover that part first. New mechanic is that if the bubble is launched, whatever pilot just launched the bubble, whether it be Hic or Dick, you are now aggressed for 60 seconds, regardless if anybody tried to warp in your bubble. Up until recently, you could double bubble and cover both gates by jumping, bubbling, waiting a second, jumping, reapproach, bubble the other side. Guess what? One Dictor doing all the work. Now it's a lot more dangerous. Once you're all at Planet 1, go ahead and warp back to the 1-TAC-2 gate. And once you're at Planet 1, warp back to the 1-TAC-2 gate. There are several things that need to happen. It's like a check in the box. It's basically CCP is going to ask a few yes-no questions for your ship, whether or not this bubble is going to catch you. And this all happens about the time you hit the warp button, and your ship actually enters warp and says warp drive active. First question, wherever it is you're warping to, was the bubble up before you engaged your warp drive? If yes, you'll get caught by the bubble. If no, you will warp straight to the gate and you're going to go right through my bubble. Everybody hold where you're at when you land, please. Everybody hold where you're at where you land. We'll go over that in a sec. The next question is the bubble in line with wherever the fuck it is you're trying to warp to? Obviously, you can see this thing's cover the entire gate. It's virtually impossible to try to warp to this gate and not get at least partially bubbled, at least at the edge, no matter what direction you go. So again, the answer is yes, you will land in the bubble. You'll always land at the edge of the bubble from the direction you landed, roughly. And the third question is the bubble within 100 in front of the landing spot, in which case it's the gate. The 1-tac-2 gate is your landing spot, the celestial, the spot in space that you were warping to, or attack, or whatever else it is. In this case, it's the 1-tac-2 gate. Was the bubble, as in the center of the bubble, was it in line with, or was it 100 in front of the 1-tac-2 gate, or was it 100 behind the 1-tac-2 gate? If it's yes to any of these, basically you have this 200-kilometer stretch in front and in back of the bubble, and anything in there that's in line with it is going to get caught. I'm going to demonstrate this with what's called a catch bubble in a second. If everybody could please warp back to 1-tac-2, warp back to warp back to planet 1, warp back to planet 1.
Gav, Pussy's decloaked in the other system.
Okay, thanks.
I want to cloak her up because she's neutral.
For the sake of the demo that Total's recording, my all Pussy Glore is neutral, so you guys can actually see her and do that without having to use a blue overview. It sucks.
Blue Gadak.
Anyways, what I'm doing now is I'm setting up the bubbler to be behind the gate. This is what's called a drag bubble. There's two main types of actual bubbling. There's a stop bubble, which is basically when you do within 100 kilometers in front of the gate. Generally, when you're doing this kind of stuff, and you look at the celestial that we're warping from, in this case, planet 1, what you're looking at is basically visualize it as a cone. You're visualizing this cone that's gradually getting sharper and sharper on the point. You're visualizing the end of the cone being 100K behind the gate. So somewhere in between there, as you get closer and closer to 100K behind the gate, which is the farthest this thing can stop you, you're going to get more to a pinpoint spot. In other words, you're going to tell them exactly where they're going to land. If it's 100K in front, it could be anywhere on the front of that bubble. You're going to see this again in a second, but as Total's probably watching right now, Gavin is trying to maneuver his ship to get exactly lined up. And when you guys land, you're also going to see just how precise this needs to be sometimes. 1 second. I'm constantly trying to talk and do this all at once. Basically, you need to line up with three things. You need to line up with whatever the hell it is they're warping from, in this case, planet 1. The spot they're warping to is the 1-tac-2 gate, so I need to be in line with that. And basically, when I click on my ship, it shows that little box icon, and so you need to kind of be in space and not have your solar system map to actually see this happen. Generally, you need to have your brackets on for this as well. I'm taking, if Total can line up planet 1, my ship, and the gate together, as long as you can get them sort of on top of each other, there's a little bit of forgiveness. But the farther you try to do that, basically, the more you try to do that, that exact spot, and the farther behind the gate you go, it's generally a lot harder. And you guys are going to see this in a second. I'm gonna give you an example of how this is not going to work first. I'm just going to burn way the fuck down, and my alignment's going to be shitty. And this is probably not going to pull you. So
you're off now.
Here I am, way the fuck off. Okay, everybody that's at planet 1, go ahead and warp to 1-tac-2. This may or may not catch some of you. But if anything, it might catch like 1 or 2. And if it does, it's going to catch you like towards the top of the bubble. You guys are going to see this.
It means you're a loser.
Basically, yeah. This is how to suck at this right now.
Can I say something or no?
No.
One sec. All right, when you guys land, you'll kind of see exactly how this worked. I'm going to say at least 50-50. Okay, it did catch a couple guys. It just barely. I mean, the closer you get to the spot, you have a little more room for forgiveness. If this was 100K or 80K behind the gate, chances are it would have missed just barely. I mean, you could see I just barely caught you, but obviously any more than that, I probably would have missed. If I had gone another 10K down, you would have just shot right to the gate, and basically nothing would have happened. A couple of mechanics about this particular spot. With me pulling you out of warp from another spot in system, it will not aggress me. It will not aggress the Dictor pilot. Me dropping my bubble, and anybody, be it friend or foe, neutral, whatever, attempting to warp in my bubble will also aggress me as the pilot. This happens to me no matter where I am in system. If I'm at the sun, or if I'm trying to dock, or if I'm at another gate trying to jump out, literally Cobra right there trying to warp out of my bubble will aggress me wherever the fuck I am. As long as the bubble is up, I can still be aggressed. For the next 2 minutes, this Dictor pilot is extremely vulnerable to anything else that might catch him on a gate or something like that. So you have to pick and choose. If you have an entire hostile fleet and system and you're on the run, bubbling might not be the best option for you, especially with the 60-second aggression, which is usually what they need to get back to the gate. All right, so if you guys could please mosey back over to Planet 1. That was a pole bubble. I'm going to show a stop bubble up front here. You guys are pretty much landing. You notice that the farther behind the gate you go, you guys all pretty much landed at the same spot. This is good for when you're camping a pipe, you're solo, or you have a buddy or something like that. And you're basically, you're looking to get like the little guys. You want to kill the colloquial haulers, you want to kill the covops and stuff like that. The people that are lazy and just warp straight to the gate without checking around them. This will, you can put cans right at that spot because it's pretty much, you can pretty much bank on that spot being where they land, because pretty much every single one of you guys landed there. Now this is me doing a stop bubble. This is a very defensive move. Stop bubbles are very deliberate and very defensive, and usually is what you'll see. This is what PL is extremely good at, and this is one of PL's best things they do is know when and where to do stop bubbles. This is basically putting yourself right in between the other fleet and saying, fuck you, no, I'll stop you right here. If you could all please warp back to the 1-TAC-2 gate, I'll show you. Basically envision, instead of you landing on one spot, you're going to land in this giant fucking glove. It's not very precise, but it's also very good at stopping entire fleets from landing, basically. This is much less precise. This is a lot more defensive. This is just basically saying, stay the fuck away from my fleet. You're going to have to go around. This is a giant fucking stop sign. Again, this was with when I dropped this bubble, I was about 50k in front of the gate, but in the direction of where you landed. So you guys are landing at different spots here. You guys pretty much landed on top of each other there. You guys are all landing about 6-7k from each other here, roughly, maybe a little bit closer. As you do an entire fleet, it's going to be a little, you're going to see bigger clusters of dudes all over the place. One important thing to note about when you drop your bubble, you can be, Gavin just cloaked, so I can continue to do this. This is why Dictors pretty much need cloaks to live in bubble situations like this. But these things are extremely fragile, and when you launch this probe, you launch yourself 20k in the middle of it. So if you're trying to get on the run, if you're literally trying to get on the run, you want to do this and get the fuck out, you have to either burn through 20k of your own bubble, which is pulsing, or you have to get away from your own probe and cloak. The probe that you launch is actually an item in space, so you need to make sure you can't just bubble and cloak. There's Hick mechanics related to that, and I'll go over that. But basically, you're launching a probe, so no matter what you do, you're going to at least need to get away from the spot that you just dropped your probe, if nothing else. Either burn to the edge of your bubble where you think they're going to land, in this case towards Planet 1, or just get out of the bubble and cloak, or burn straight up and warp to attack. Whatever the hell it is you need to do, you need to be thinking about these moves before you do them. You need to be thinking about survival. Dictors are extremely fun, but they're also very expensive to replace if you go through 3 in a day. My record is 5 in a day. It was the most fun I've ever had in game, but you just really have to think about what your next move is. Flying a Dictor will make you a good FC. Flying a Dictor will make you a good scout. Just generally, it'll make you a good pilot in general, because you're going to be thinking 1-2 steps ahead of anybody else. Okay, so let's see. Just give me a second to go over this part here. The sphere launcher carries about 10 each. Generally, if you're doing a big fleet or something like that, this thing is loaded up. Like for example, my Saber's got 10 in each launcher, and I got 55 in the cargo. That's more than enough for just about any big fleet. You'd be topped off completely if you're doing a major CTA thing.